uncut versions.
The uncut versions, exactly.
Oh,
Damn right. So, we're back in this bitch. I got Zach Morgan today in the studio.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen?
Longtime good friend of mine. I think friend is kind of an understatement, but we're not going to go there.
Understatement for sure.
Yeah. So,
It's been... God, I was 16.
yeah.
I turned 29 in April, homie.
Yeah. Fuck.
Been a long time.
Coming up on 20 years, brother. Looking forward to having him as a repeat to really dive into certain things and to really get into the grease, if you know what I mean. So, but today we're just gonna start with a little surface dabble,
A little bit of meet and greet.
a little bit of meet and greet. You know what I mean? So, I kind of just been trying to figure out pertinent facts, pertinent points. Where would you start if I had to ask you about growing up and experiences? What is something that you could put your finger on immediately? Do you have one of those?
I've got a couple. I mean,
You can start as early as you want, dude.
shoot, man, that's dabbling on the surface. We're gonna get real deep real quick if you want to go that route.
Let's go.
So I grew up good family, but had both my parents. Dad was law enforcement, military in the Air Force, 23 years, I believe, 21, 23, somewhere right in there. In the Air Force, he was MP, did Chicago PD for 8 years.
Oh, I totally fucking forgot you're from Illinois.
Yeah.
Dude, I totally spaced that.
Yeah.
That's a whole new... I'm excited to hear about that, too. I'm sorry, keep going.
No, you're good, man. So we moved out of Chicago when I was 11, down to southern Indiana, a little town called Newburgh, just out of Evansville, very southwest corner, right on the Ohio River. I was down there for just under 2 years. I think it was like a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Dad got a job down here, working for Honeywell Aerospace, running the business continuity side of things, and then running. He was the head security director for the aerospace side of things, so running with like NASA.
Damn.
And when I was a sophomore in high school, so I was 15, 16 years old, in the throes of, playing varsity baseball, varsity football, whole 9 yards.
Mm-hmm.
He lost his job, went from making buku, big money, had the house, had the cars, had the boats, had all the toys, everything you could ask for, to nothing. We lost it all.
Fuck, what a transition.
Yeah, literally within a year, we went from living in a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath house in a brand new Western Surprise to moving out to basically Whitman, living in a double wide trailer. Real quick, everything happened really, really quick. So by the time I was a junior in high school, we were out there. I transitioned to a new high school my sophomore year. Sorry, I'm jumping around a little bit, but trying to cover all those bases to connect the dots. Transitioned to a new high school sophomore year. Dad lost his job the middle of sophomore year. Moved out to essentially Whitman in the summer of my sophomore year, going into junior year of high school. Excuse me. Was a kid, didn't know any better. Didn't know.
Yeah, you were in the prime, right in the shit.
Yeah. Didn't know any better. Figured it was just normal for everybody that, things happened with daily life. Didn't know that it wasn't supposed to happen like that.
Mm-hmm.
Long story short, they moved my dad's side of the company overseas into Asia, and they gave him the opportunity. They were like, you can move your family to Asia. We'll move you out there if you want to,
Mm-hmm.
or here's your pink slip.
Damn, like that.
Just like that.
Dirty.
Yeah, no warning, no nothing. He came home early from work one day, and shit rolls downhill.
That's
I mean,
dirty as fuck, man. Honeywell?
yeah,
Fuck.
yeah, huge company, and
Yeah.
huge company here. He was at the Deer Valley office right down the street. And they moved his stuff overseas. It was cheaper they could literally pay half of what they were paying him for people overseas to do it.
Yep, so they don't need him,
Right.
essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I mean, without ethics and morals,
And the shittiest part about all that is he rewrote their entire security protocols.
God, dude.
That's actually he dabbled in a little bit. He works for DPS now in the civilian office down in Tempe.
Okay.
Or not Tempe, I'm sorry, in Phoenix. It's right off of like 22nd Avenue and Grand, essentially. It's the closest place I can put it.
You get down there, it gets all jumbled and
Yeah.
shit. You just don't know what's going
Yeah,
on.
exactly. Grand just cuts across everything.
Yeah.
Grid pattern, except for Grand
Except
Avenue.
for it does its own thing.
Yeah.
No one knows why. I mean,
So, I mean, I had to figure out really quickly that going in junior year into senior year that things weren't what they used to be. And, as a young kid, you're 17, 18 years old, trying to figure out how to not necessarily, work and help mom and dad pay the bills, but work and help mom and dad pay the bills. I mean, they needed help. And I was the oldest. We had adopted my younger brother right before my dad lost his job. He was 12. I was 14. Yeah. And so dealing with all of his issues and stuff like that, which he's doing great now, married. He's having a kid.
really?
Yeah.
That's great.
She's pregnant.
That's great to hear.
Congratulations, brother.
Yeah. Good for you, brother. Do your thing.
He's working in the Iron Union right now, traveling the country.
Damn.
Yeah. So if anybody's got their shit together, my younger brother does for sure.
I'm glad somebody got us figured out.
Yeah, shit. But no, so I mean, I had to figure out really quickly that essentially how to make do. Going from having, to put it plainly, going from as close to the spoiled rich kid as I could have gotten. I wasn't the spoiled rich kid, but I essentially was, compared to what I am now. I had to go from being the spoiled rich kid to having to figure out, okay, we're doing chili for the next 3 weeks because it's the cheapest and easiest thing. We can make a big meal out of it and have enough to last for 3 weeks. We were doing dump runs because we couldn't afford to pay the city to come out and pick up our trash. I mean,
Out in Whitman.
yeah.
Yeah.
We had our horses already, so we had to figure out how to take care of them, how to feed them, how to do all that stuff. And we didn't have a truck and trailer. We didn't have any of that stuff. We had to buy a old Chevy. I don't know if you remember the blue dually we had.
Yeah.
The 96 dually.
I saw it.
With the big block in it that didn't run right. But that's all we had. So, but I mean, that's really where my battle with mental health started. Because it takes a toll on a kid 16, 17, 18 years old, going from having never to worry about anything at all to essentially not knowing where your next meal is going to come from.
And at that age, I didn't realize it up until recently, but at that age, you don't really have, they expect you by the end of high school to have some kind of a handle on things, which is fucking ridiculous in my
Right.
opinion, because I didn't have any clue until the 30s hit. And that's where I'm so, I feel so bad for adolescents,
Yeah.
And at that point, going through that big of a change, that's trauma. That's realistic trauma. Not knowing why, not knowing how to fix it.
Right.
And that's
Feeling that was the most helpless I've ever felt because watching my parents struggle, watching my hero, my father. Oh shit! Don't do that. Get all emotional and stuff.
that's why we're here, man.
Watching my father, who has always been my hero, go through that and watching him struggle was the hardest thing. You don't ever want, you don't ever want to see your heroes, your parents are always the people that you look up to, that you look to for guidance, for
Yeah.
help, for and watching somebody who had everything, had all of his shit together, had lose it all, and trying to battle back, and successfully. It's taken a long time, but they are finally to a place where they're okay. That was, mind you, again, that was 14 years ago.
I was gonna say, you know what? If I might just add a little blip,
Yeah.
what scares me the most about stuff like that is, I'm like 34. I feel like I'm on, as far as like work goes, I'm on an up, ish. I'm doing okay. We're surviving. We're doing the things we need to do, and we're buying the things we want to buy, and that's cool. But he was so into his career. Career, like that was a big word in those days.
Yeah.
He was invested. He was seasoned. He was older than 34, for sure.
Let's see. He's 68.
Yeah, so he was coming up on 50 when all that shit started
He
happening.
was 54.
Right. So I'm like, you mean this shit can happen again in 20 more fucking years?
Yeah. I mean, and it's
Like, it's not just a scale of constantly going up.
nope.
He got dropped like a fucking fly
Yep.
in his 50s, bro.
With all of that experience, with all of that he had in his back pocket, and goes, I am the most qualified, if not overqualified, and that's
Right.
actually what bit him in the ass in the long run.
Being overqualified?
Being overqualified.
I've heard that so many fucking times.
Being overqualified. I can't tell you how many times he'd come home from a job interview for a place that he's like, this, where they're telling him you seem like a perfect candidate, and then he gets there and he drops his resume, his full resume,
And they're like, oh, fuck.
and they're like, we can't afford you,
Right.
so we're gonna hire some 20-year-old kid who just fresh out of school
That doesn't know shit.
that doesn't know anything about anything, and we can put him in a position, we can tell him how to do it. Whereas, hiring somebody who's got the age, who's got the tenure, who's got the experience, that's a plug-and-play system. A lot of these companies nowadays aren't looking for plug-and-play. They're looking straight up for
The cheapest way out.
the cheapest way to do things. If you can, we're going to bring you in cheap. If you can do the job and make sure that, your job is done
At its minimum.
at the bare minimum, then we're good.
Right.
And back in the day, and I'm young compared to a lot of people, but back in the day, careers made the man. That the career was your status.
Well, it's funny that you say you're young and I'm young, wholeheartedly. But one of the things that we got to see growing up was the invention of the phone
And social media.
and social media.
It's-
Um,
I'm going to say this into the microphone.
Do
It
it.
has ruined. It has ruined what men are.
yeah.
It has ruined it.
Well, a quote unquote standardized male back in our day doesn't need to be that anymore.
Nope.
Everybody can be famous online and everybody can make a living off their cell phone. So things are a lot different than they were than when a man, okay, I shouldn't say that, than when a person just had to go to work.
Yeah, I guess I shouldn't have said made a man.
It's all right.
Yeah.
We're clarifying. Not misogynistically, but when a person just had to go to work and work, there was no digital life form.
Nope.
There was no secondary life form. There was just you were you as a person in physical form. That's it.
And that's it. And that's all people expected of you.
And they
That's-
pulled the rug out from under him
Yep.
and left him waiting.
Just left them high and dry.
And that's it.
That's it. That's all they did. They didn't.
There's no cell phone to go online to look at anything. There was barely a computer.
Right.
Barely a computer. So
And so it was insane, to me to have to deal with that transition and have to deal with, I was a D1 prospect, coming out of junior year of high school. I was looked at. I played varsity baseball as a freshman, as a sophomore.
dude, did that shit go down the drain with it?
Yep.
Oh fuck.
Well, because
I didn't even fucking think about that.
There-
That shit costs a lot of money.
a lot of money. Travel ball costs a lot of money. The equipment costs a lot. We're just talking about baseball. A baseball bat, just a bat, a good
A good bat.
middle of the road bat,
What's it at?
$400.
Really?
Yep.
Fuck.
That's a middle of the road baseball bat.
Oh God, I don't know shit, but I don't want to know shit now.
Do you want to know what a glove costs? Right about the same.
Huh.
If you're getting a high quality glove with good leather, from a good company, you're spending $250, $300, $400.
Mom, if you're listening to this, I'm so thankful you went to Walmart. That's insane. I really had no fucking idea.
Yeah, I mean cleats are $100 something dollars, and I'm going through a set of cleats a year. I'm going through a bat a year. Going through a glove every 2. Because I wasn't just playing, during high school ball. I was playing 365 days a year.
You were doing off season everything.
I was doing I was on 2 travel ball teams at one point, and the high school team and the high school summer team. So I was playing for 3 or 4 different teams at a time.
Fuck.
And man, it was a struggle. I mean, we were going to Yuma, going to California, going to Utah, going to Colorado, going to Texas, going to New Mexico.
Really?
Yeah.
So, fuel and travel costs.
Fuel and travel costs.
Yeah.
Think about that. As a family who's barely able to scrape by at home, and then to have to tell your kid, "Hey,
we're done.
We can't afford to do that anymore."
Yeah.
As a kid who had I'm not going to say a promising future, but I mean, that's the only way to describe it.
Yeah, you were headed there.
I was well on my way there. And shout out to my boy Chad Guerin, who was there with me, who actually went and played college ball. I mean, it was devastating to me as a 18-year-old kid to have to choose and have to have the conversation with my parents to choose, hey, we need to go. I need a new bat, Mom. My bat broke. Middle of my junior year of high school, the end cap on my bat that they had just bought me was a $450 baseball bat, had cracked. Couldn't use it anymore. So the bat was starting to cave in on itself. Had to go and buy a $150 metal bat, which was the trashiest thing on the planet. You might as well have gone to Walmart and played with a T-ball bat. I mean, it was insane. And it was just a bit of a shock.
Not understanding and not knowing how. You know what? I shouldn't even say not knowing how to help, because at that age, I don't feel like that was a part of the equation.
It wasn't.
You don't know. You don't even know what that's like.
Nope.
So just not understanding why all of a sudden we can't do it anymore.
Right. Can't do the travel. Can't do stuff like that.
That's devastating.
Yeah. There was a point, junior into senior year, our travel ball team went to the state championship. We went to the state tournament to play. It was down in Yuma. I had a carpool with teammates. Mom and dad had to go to the coaches, and not to throw too much detail out there of mom and dad's business, but literally the coaches had to pay for me to go down there.
It's understandable.
Mom and dad were able to come down. They paid for coaches paid for the hotel rooms. Coaches paid for most of the fuel. We paid for food. It was a rough transition trying to figure out as again a 17, 18-year-old kid trying to figure out, okay, well, why all of a sudden do I have to put my stuff on hold? And it sucked. And that's really where really if I can pinpoint where everything started, figuring out that I had to put my dreams and my stuff on a back burner really was the start of everything. And then not to mention that I couldn't do any of the trainings and stuff like that over summer ball anymore. I couldn't do any of that stuff. So I was out and stopped playing for the first time ever for a total of 6 months because we just couldn't afford to send me to these camps, to send me to these training days, and I couldn't afford to drive back and forth to the school to practice with the baseball team every day, twice a day, like I was doing. Which then led to I tore my rotator cuff my senior year of high school.
Fuck, to add to it.
Yeah, rotator cuff, labrum, had an injury, and literally watched everything that me and my parents had fought for to keep me in, to keep me involved, to keep me on that path. Watch it go down the tubes, like that. Just
without understanding.
Right. I knew that the shoulder was hurting for a long time. The shoulder wasn't right. But I didn't want to say anything because we couldn't afford a doctor. We couldn't afford to, go get X-rays, go get MRIs, go get things checked out. So I just sucked it up, and that's where we've had conversations before in the past about, why don't we talk about the things that hurt, whether it's physical, whether it's emotional, whether it's whatever. That's where that started for me. Is I had buried it.
Damn.
There wasn't sucking it. It wasn't a sucking it up. It wasn't anything like that. It was bury that shit because
I mean, if there's no solution, there's no solution.
there was no solution.
So you just suck it up and deal with it.
Yep, there was no solution, and that's where I discovered some white powdery substances.
Some numbing substances.
Yeah, that wasn't very good for me and set me on a path, a very dark path. I found that right after I tore my rotator cuff and blew out my shoulder in a game, mind you, not even at practice. I was on the mound and had to pull myself out of the game because I couldn't hit the strike zone. I couldn't get the ball to the plate.
You're a pitcher?
Yep, I was a pitcher.
Everything. God damn, that cuff was everything.
Yep.
Fuck.
And I mean, I wasn't the best. I'm not gonna tell anybody that I was the best or that I was above par necessarily, but I had a future going for me.
You're right.
Whether it was collegiate ball, whether it was D2, D3, whatever. I was going to play in college, and I lost it. The shoulder, all of the schools that I was being looked at by when they heard that I was hurt, because you had to tell people, you couldn't hide that.
They all ran.
The second that I was like, hey, I hurt my shoulder. All right, well,
we'll be in touch, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Most of them didn't even do that. Most of them was like, well, it was a good watching. It was nice watching you play.
Fuck.
Thanks for the interest.
I never got that far as a youngster. I never got that far. So I can't imagine how that's I mean, for lack of better words, that's your first heartbreak.
It was.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely was.
That's your first fucking real big heartbreak. Without knowing the implications of that, that's your first fucking hoorah, and it's over.
Like that.
And that sucks.
Just literally with one pitch.
Yeah.
I watched everything in my life that I had worked for 18 years. That's all I'd worked for.
And just so I'm clear, this conversation does not disregard the efforts and the abilities of the parents that are trying to put forth. This is not demeaning at all to what everybody has been trying to do. The understanding is there. This is just storyline with it.
Right. This is just the experience that I went through.
We're talking about the implications from the other end.
Right.
So just don't ever feel taken for granted for what we're saying here.
No, Mom, Dad, if you end up listening to this,
and any moms and dads,
right?
Don't.
This doesn't just go to my mom and dad. Like he just said, any mom and dad. If you ever feel like, you're not doing enough, you're not able to kind of push your kids to those dreams. As a parent now, I can understand it, and I can see it, and I can see how much stress and how much pressure my parents were under to.
I could understand the heartbreak from that side.
Oh God,
110%.
I can't tell you how many times I walked in on my mom and dad having a conversation about me playing baseball, and seeing my dad, who did not show any emotion over his job, didn't show any emotion over losing the house, losing the cars, losing the boats, losing everything that we had. Watching him and my mom sit and cry because I had to give up on my dream was a absolute.
It's heartbreaking.
God, that experience hurt more than having to give up on my dream.
Seeing heartbreak in your parents' eyes that you confide in,
Yep.
Is whew, that's a motherfucker.
Yeah,
to say the least.
That's something that I don't wish on anyone.
Right.
I mean, that is a level of heartbreak that I never ever want to experience again.
This is one of those things that I feel like goes so wildly unspoken of, is this relationship. As a parent, also, um, the thought, my son talks about wanting to play this and to play that and to do this, and he wants to. There's so many things that he wants to try and wants to do, and I just want to fucking give it all.
Right.
Like, just do your thing, bro. Just fucking be who you want to be. I don't give a fuck about the amount.
Now take a second
Yeah.
and imagine, put yourself in my parents' shoes for a second.
No, yeah, and I that's where I'm headed, is the reality of that is going to come one day, that I'm probably not going to be able to do everything he wants to do. And that destroys me,
Yeah.
because I want to give him every fucking opportunity to have this world at his hands
Right.
that I never had. Which doesn't say anything about my parents.
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
But my dad would have done the same thing for me. Just like your dad would have done the same thing for you. But when you're that helpless,
Yeah. There's nothing you can do.
there's
It is.
it's fucked up.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard to
this
talk about.
world does not care about how you feel.
Nope. And it never will.
It won't. But that's what we're gonna do here. We're gonna fight back.
That's what this whole thing's about.
Yep.
Sharing experiences and sharing stories, and hopefully somebody out there can relate to what we're talking about, and can relate to, and hopefully they're not going directly through it
Yeah.
at this point in time. But if you are, this goes without saying, there's somebody somewhere that you're probably close to, that or that is around you, that has been through something similar, and it would be more than willing to sit and to listen. Or we talked a little bit before we started recording about how, just for us guys, the way we handle things, specifically me and you, and Austin, who's been on the show a couple times now, where it could be something as simple as, hey man, I need to go sit and have a beer, but I don't want to do it alone.
You're 100% right.
And I've called on you a couple different times, and vice versa. Where we've gone up and we've sat and literally in silence.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
You know what's fucked up is just being in the presence of somebody that you care about.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's all it takes.
that's all it takes.
But-
and knowing, just, they don't have to necessarily be there for you through those experiences and through that kind of stuff, but knowing that you have somebody that you can call on and just kind of lean on for a minute, can do more help than can be more helpful than you realize at the time. I can speak on behalf of some serious mental health issues that I'm still going through, that I don't think I'll ever get over necessarily, but I've learned a little bit how to cope, and I've really taken some steps recently, with the help of some people that are close to me, trying to get over that stuff. And that's stuff that you're never going to get away from. It's stuff that's never going to go away.
It won't go away.
But just be there for your brother. Be there for the person if somebody's calling you and is like, hey, I don't care if we talk, I don't care what we do, I just need to be with somebody.
Give it a chance.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be, you don't even have to be best friends, whatever. If somebody reaches out to you and is like, hey, I need some help, whatever.
Right.
What does it take out of your day? A couple
Right.
hours? An hour?
I was gonna say, what damage does it do to you?
Nothing. If anything, you get beer out of it. Oh well. You know what I mean? I mean, it's as simple as that, and it sounds dumb and it sounds crazy, but it literally can be as simple as, hey man, can we just hang out for a minute? Can you just give me some time?
100%.
And and I'll be the first one to admit it, I didn't necessarily have that. I didn't have a good circle of friends at that point in time, because I was so in high school, because I was so focused on baseball and on where I wanted to be and what I wanted to do. I didn't have a super close circle of friends. I had a couple of guys that I hung out with, absolutely, on a regular, but it was the baseball team. And I found out very, very quickly when I had to stop participating. And I stayed on the team throughout the rest of the year, but I didn't play.
How close you were to actual people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then to realize, and this is going to sound shitty, and I love a lot of those boys still, like they know that, but to realize just how, and this is going to sound terrible, but how expendable you are.
No, I mean, it does sound terrible, but oh man, that's such a fucking conversation on its own.
Yeah, I think that's something we'll have to touch on because that's a whole episode worth of conversation right there. But I want to touch on this, and I kind of made a point earlier before we started recording about touching on this.
So
there we go.
We were getting back into it. Took a little potty break there. I had to tinkle. It's my fault.
It's always his fault.
Yeah.
Don't let anybody fool you.
So you were telling us about something you're gonna have to get into.
Yeah, I wanted to. We were touching on a couple of big things there, and I wanted to touch on relationships and how the traumas you deal with as an adolescent, as a teen, going through stuff like that. You don't learn necessarily how to communicate very well. Because you don't know. You're the people who you're supposed to be looking up to teach you how to communicate and whatnot are dealing with their own things. They're trying to make sure you've got food on the table. They're trying to make sure that you have everything that you need to survive as a teen.
Well, wasn't that a fucker to realize too?
Oh fuck, dude! As a parent,
yeah,
having to do that for the first time and having to explain to my kids, hey,
there's a long time that you just think like, I am the center,
right,
and I need to be taken care of, and then you get to the certain point where you're like, fuck, they're fucking human too,
right?
Son of a bitch,
right? They're not bulletproof. They're not. But I wanted to kind of touch on relationships as a whole, specifically man and woman, or man depending on how you want to swing. I'm not judging anybody.
Do your thing, Playboy.
Just don't make it my business. But anyway, I learned very, very recently, and we touched on it during your little potty break. It really affects. I'm an oversharer.
It's okay.
But I do it because it protects me in the short term. I want to know when I'm getting into a relationship with somebody that they're actually there for me and not what I can bring them.
Boy, finding that open availability has become difficult when the next best option is in your hands.
Oh yeah, dating apps, Facebook, Snapchat,
doesn't matter,
Tinder.
Yep.
All that other bullshit that we got to fucking deal with now. As people trying to make personal connections with somebody, it's almost impossible because
it feels that way.
It is that way. I mean, it's unfortunate because, you've got. I'll use my most recent experience here. I figured out literally 2 or 3 days ago, and I didn't realize that this until this point. I was talking to this girl. I'm not going to drop names. And we got along super well. We were able to sit down and I asked her flat out, we'd known each other for a minute, but we had just started talking, on a regular basis. And I was like, hey, like, what are your dreams and aspirations and all that? Just, I want to see what it breaks down to, see how compatible our futures look. And she nailed my future to a T with what she wanted in her own life.
So why is it over then?
I laid all of my shit out. This is what I'm dealing with. This is what I'm going through. This is what I've got going on. These are my plans. This is how I plan on getting out of it. This is what I already have in motion. We talked on the break about the life insurance brokerage thing. I'm getting my life insurance brokerage license here pretty soon. Probably end of February. I'll be testing for that. I'll be past that, so I should be able to rock it and rolling in March. And she asked me, like, okay, well, what does your work situation look like right now? She goes, you're obviously not happy with it if you're looking to go somewhere else. I was like, yeah, I've been at the dealership that I'm at now with Harley Davidson for almost 2 years. March will be 2 years for me at that dealership. And they did me kind of dirty, but I'm not going to go there necessarily. I was in an accident back in September, motorcycle accident, wrecked my bike, was out of work for 2 months, had surgery on my shoulder. And literally 2 days before the accident, I had transferred positions inside of the dealership. Had talked to management about doing that so that I could in the long run, take over in a management position, either in the sales department or in the parts department. And the parts department had a position open on the counter. I was there for 2 days, wrecked my bike. Okay, shattered my shoulder. Serious. It was a serious. It was a bad accident. Same bike I rode here tonight, by the way.
Oh, glad
got
to
it.
see it's back on the road.
Yeah, got it all built, put back together. Little worse for wear, but it's okay.
Yeah, it's got its own quirks now.
Yeah, it's got its own little personality going on.
No worries.
But I got back to work, was still in a sling, was trying to do everything one-handed, and they gave me literally 2 days of training on the computer systems. Not even like real world, here's your customer base, whatever. And they told me to figure it out, essentially.
God damn.
So I spent 2.5 months doing everything that I could to hit my numbers and to hit what they wanted me to do. And I was close. The end of that 3rd month, I was close where they wanted me to be, but I still wasn't there because I just didn't know.
Right.
You know, what necessarily, I knew what they expected of me, but I just didn't know necessarily how to get there.
Right.
Because I didn't get trained. There was no training involved. It's not like, you know, not downplaying what you do, but it's not like running a tow truck where it's like hook here, and it's all pretty well, you know what a tow point looks like. You know
Right.
You know what a lockdown point looks like.
Yeah.
You know, replacing all the gaskets on the inside of a motor is a little bit different.
It's 100% different. There's so many specifications, and knowing how to do all that shit that's a world apart.
It's a whole different world of things to do. And that's where I was failing is, you know, guys were coming in going, hey, I need this quarter size gasket that goes in between the primaries on the motorcycle.
Yeah.
Where am I supposed to find that? I was never trained. I didn't know where to find that. I didn't know anything about that. You know, engine dress up was cool. That's what I was coming over there to do. You know, doing exhaust, doing handlebars, doing shit like that. So when I had to sit down with my GM, my parts regional manager, and my parts manager, and essentially got demoted. Got put down to $15 an hour, which I don't know if anybody knows. That's minimum wage.
That's trash.
Yeah.
Trash.
$15 an hour, 40 hours a week.
Like good luck money.
Right.
You can have dinner, but good luck on your rent.
Yeah. Good luck paying any of your bills. Let me put it to you this way. You know, I'm an adult. I've got a car payment. I got bike payment. I got insurance. I got phone bills. I got kids to take care of. Mind you that.
Yeah.
I was able to pay for rent, and that's it.
That's it.
Yeah. So when I laid all that out, it became very clear very, very quickly that I was being viewed as a liability. I was being in the relationship, not at work. In the relationship, in the very early stages of this relationship, not even a relationship. We were just talking. Your dog just nut checked me with his nose. By the way,
I'm sorry. He likes to get friendly.
But very, very early on, I was viewed as a burden, essentially. You know, the whole thing with her was she was like, I don't want to have to take care of you, all this stuff, and I was like, I'm not, you know, not asking you to do any of that shit. I'm asking you to literally just allow me some time.
Give me 3 months.
Right. Give me 3 months to figure my shit out. Right. Don't go anywhere. You know.
Just give me a minute.
You know, but I overshared with her, and I threw all that stuff out there. That way, she knew what she was getting into.
Sure.
You know, not to scare her away, not to ask her for help, not to ask her to pay my bills, not to ask her to feed me, do any shit like that, which is what she took it as. But at the end of the day, she turned around and she looked at me and she was like, I don't want to do this right now. Had nothing to do with the fact that, you know, everything that we want in our future is lined up to a T. And I'll circle back to where I started with this here in a second. But, you know, she looked at it as, you know, us as men are looked at as providers. We're looked at as people who are supposed to come into a relationship or with a woman or a man, depending on how you swing it. You know, as someone who's going to take care of their other. No questions asked, no ifs, ands, buts about it. And then you're put in a position like me where you have an outstanding circumstance that you had no control over,
Right.
my accident, that drained my bank accounts, that drained everything that I needed to do to take care of me, my family, all that stuff. And now I'm being looked at as a burden. And
That's so wild.
it's brutal.
Oh man, I have so many mixed emotions about that. That
It's
whole conversation. Fuck.
it's brutal to sit and to think about, here's this person that I have this amazing in-person connection with. We spent a couple nights in a row together, just laughing the entire time, laughing, having fun, just being honest with each other and just breaking it down and just saying, hey. And then when it came down to the money,
That's what the problem was.
that's what the problem was. When it came down to the money.
Oh man, I think I just developed a whole new insecurity.
Yeah, dude, right? But that circles back right to the same point that was kind of before with my parents, and what they went through is, men are not viewed anymore as. Let me backtrack. Relationships are not viewed anymore as concrete items. They're very fluid.
They don't need to be valuable anymore.
They're not. Relationships are not valuable anymore.
No.
They're not.
I'm sorry. Marriage and weddings, regardless of the words that go with it, are viewed as just a piece of paper.
Yep.
It irks me.
It's
And I don't necessarily understand why, but it
why
breaks.
you don't understand why it irks you, or you don't understand why it's viewed that way.
No, I don't understand why it irks me, and that's just me trying to be open-minded.
I can tell you why it irks you, because I know why. Because I know why it irks me, and we're very similar with how we think.
What do you think?
We're old school, homie.
Well,
We're very. If I'm building something with you, if I'm looking at you as an item, if I'm pursuing you, it isn't because of what you can do for me. It isn't because of what you bring to the table.
It's not because you look good on Instagram.
No, I don't give a fuck what
For
you look.
sure.
I don't give a fuck what you look like on Instagram.
100%.
I give a fuck about being able to sit in a room full of people.
And no.
That's the only one that matters right there.
Yeah,
Boom,
yeah.
done.
Yeah.
And know that person that I'm sitting across from right now, when we're sitting having a conversation, it's just like right here.
Right.
We're the only two people in the room.
Right.
There can be 3,000 people in the room with me. When I'm in a relationship with somebody, when I'm looking at it like that, you're the only one that matters. You're the only one that's there.
Doesn't matter what I'm doing.
Nope.
If you're with me, I'm good. I'm complete.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
No, I
nowadays,
feel that.
it's very, very much so cool. It's a transaction.
Right. It is a transaction.
Relationships are transactions now. What can you bring to the table? Do I gain anything by being with you? No? Cool. Next.
Bounce.
And that's the brutal reality of kind of where the world is with Tinder and Snapchat and Facebook dating. I mean, for Christ's sake, Facebook has a dating profile. Are you fucking kidding me?
It does, yeah. There's a hookup culture.
Oh, that's all this world is now.
You know what I mean?
Yep. In and out, easy peasy. I had you for 5 minutes. I made myself feel good. I'm done.
And that's fuck. you really took that bull by the horns. No pun intended. But I mean, you're not wrong for most of that. Fuck, I forgot where I was going. You took me.
I took the words right out of your mouth. I mean, it. As much as I would love to say that
I still have hope. I have minimal hope. I have a minimal belief that at the core, regardless of the technology that's in front of us, regardless of how easy it is to find another option, we're all human. And I'm going to be completely honest with you, man, because of that simple fact. I am going to stand to believe, you can call it naive, you can call it whatever you want to call it, but I stand to believe that everybody has a flame. Everybody has a flame. And if I have one goal, regardless of who it's for, I want to see that flame. Regardless of who we're talking about.
Right.
It seems to be a more and more difficult task every day that I say that. But that's what I want.
I 1,000% agree. And
I want your flame. I want her flame. I want to know what my 7-year-old's mother, I want her flame. I want realism, and I want human back.
everything is, and along with the transactional portion of it, and I'm kind of expanding.
No, you're there. I just took it deep.
I'll expand on what you just said. The whole twin flame thing that's become very big recently with like the TikTok circle and whatnot. Everything like that is people are looking for their twin flames. Well, the problem with people looking for their twin flames is they're looking for their twin flames that also can provide and keep that flame lit for that other person.
I would say to second on that, what you just said was to provide. To me, that sounds like finding it. Finding a connection is not the hard part.
No,
it's absolutely not. It is 110% maintaining that connection. It will always be there, but it's your choice how strong it is.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that's really what I'm all about. Connection, energy. I want human to human connection, and I want to know, how hard it's going to be to maintain that.
I guess I can say this. I look at relationships differently than the average person nowadays. I don't look at them as something that should be easy, because they shouldn't be easy.
They're never going to be easy.
Anything worth having.
Say it.
Is worth fighting for.
Yeah.
And
110%.
We'll push your buttons and we'll make you mad, and that person that you're with should fucking piss you off. They should absolutely drive you insane.
It's a challenge.
It is.
It's a challenge to be better.
And that person that you're with should absolutely push you and force you to be better. If they're not doing that for you, if you're not feeling that, hey, this person is not only supporting me, is giving me the tools that I need, but is giving me the tools that I need to be better, you're not in the right position.
Right.
Something's wrong. Something's off. Whether it's a communication breakdown, whether it's Tinder, Snapchat, they're getting attention from somewhere else, you're getting attention from somewhere else, wherever the breakdown is, I would much rather sit down in a room with that person, put the phones away, put the phones in the fucking freezer. MC life, this kind of shit happens. Put the phones in the freezer, but put the phones away for a little while. Sit down and let's have a conversation. Human beings. Let's sit down and have a talk. Let's figure out where this disconnect is. The last 3 relationships I've been in, you saw the third, my ex-wife. You saw that breakdown. Because me, you, Austin, and her were very close as far as our friend circle. We were hanging out pretty frequently. You watched that breakdown happen.
I did.
And learning from that, I was young. I got married young. I was 22, 23 when I got married.
Fuck.
My youngest daughter, I was 2 days before my 21st birthday when she was born.
Damn.
Yeah, doggy. Like, I was coming at this both blind and dumb as to what a real relationship was. My wife was my first actual relationship with any sort of meaning, with any sort of context. Obviously, you always have those flings, those dates, the 6-8 months, whatever. That's not. I don't think that's real. That was we made it work for a certain amount of time, but that was never going to last.
We tried it,
right?
But it's not for the long haul.
No, it was something to pass the time. So when I'm looking at a relationship or when I'm entertaining somebody, I'm looking at it going, okay, this is something that is going to be years. This is a not only a commitment on my end for helping better this person, but not only bettering that person, but bettering myself. But it's a commitment to that other person to say, hey, whatever the fuck we're going through, whatever the fuck it is that we've got going on personally or together in that relationship, nothing should come in between that. And I think that's where, when I dive into things and dealing with the traumas that I've gone through and over communicating with this most recent one and laying it all out there and going, hey, this is my situation, this is what I've got going on, this is A, B, C, D, E, whatever, however many things you've got going on in your life at that point in time. Are you okay with that? No? Cool. If you're on board and if you're game with it and if you think that we can have that connection long term, absolutely, let's nail it down, let's get it done.
Right.
But relationships aren't something that I take lightly. They're not something that I think anybody should take lightly. And I think the biggest pressure, circling back to me versus me, is I put, and this is again just personally me, I put so much pressure on myself when it comes to that, because I want to know off jump that A, I'm not going to waste my time. B, I'm not wasting that other person's time, because I know how time is precious. This accident that I was just in showed me how precious time is and how quickly things can change.
How expensive it is.
Yeah.
And use that broadly.
Yep. And I sat back for a while. 2 months I was stuck in a recliner, waiting for the surgery and stuff to heal and whatnot. It took almost 3 weeks for me to have my surgery to repair my shattered shoulder. I was stuck in a recliner. I had a lot of time to think and to look at,
to reflect
at how to reflect on how I look at relationships. And I looked at my mom and my dad. And when my dad went through his shit, when he lost his job, nowadays, just 14 years later, I don't see anybody sticking around through that, because they're expendable. They're replaceable. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. No.
So I give massive props to my mother, and
that pains me to hear.
Yeah, but it's true.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You look at it, and as a man in a relationship, whether you're with a man or a woman, it doesn't matter. As the man in the relationship, the person who wears the pants, right? We're looked at as people who are supposed to provide no matter what. We're the ones who are supposed to be putting the food on the table. We're the ones who are supposed to be taking care of that other person when they're feeling down, when they're feeling out. Who the fuck's supposed to take care of us when we're hurt, when we're down?
It's a big question mark.
It became very clear to me that it's not. It's on us.
Yeah.
And as shitty as that sounds, the only person, at the risk of contradicting myself, the only person that you can, as far as I'm concerned right now, that you can truly rely on is you. And
I'm not far from agreeing with you. I'm not 100%, but I'm not far.
And don't get me wrong, there's always exceptions to that rule. There's always somebody who's going to come along and who's going to, whether it's one of your homeboys or it's a chick or it's whatever.
I would venture to say that having that hope, even if your work is concerned or if you're relying on somebody close to you, I would venture to use the word that's a gamble.
Yeah.
Fuck. I don't even like going down this road, because the thought of leaning on somebody else or leaning on a group of people, it doesn't exist in my head for the same reasons that you're talking about. But I know in my heart that it should be there, but it's not.
It's not anymore.
But it does manifest. It has manifested in the weirdest of times. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So maybe those weird times,
sitting in a tiny room making a podcast with a homie from 15 years ago.
Yeah, dude.
Like,
So maybe those times are the worst of times, and that we just aren't viewing them as the worst of times. Maybe this is the universe. Maybe those instances are the universe saying, "Hey, just keep your fucking head up for a second. Just give it a second longer. Like
Right.
this is a stretch, but check it out."
and coming, back to the whole. Maybe not coming back to it, but touching on on that portion of it. The universe is telling you, hey, just put your head down, keep your nose to the grindstone, and just
Right.
grind through it.
Just
and
close your eyes for another day and get through this with me.
Right. Just get through this and take it day by day. That's when you then really have to deal with the me versus me thing, because now you're stuck in your head.
That's the hardest part, in my opinion.
Because now you're stuck in your head, and now you're looking at the universe going, dude, what the fuck did
Yeah.
I do?
Yeah, what are we doing?
Right.
Yeah.
What did I do to deserve this? Well, how am I going to get out of it?
Yeah.
And that's
What's the game plan here, bud?
right.
Can somebody speak to me?
Right.
Yeah.
And then what? Nobody's going to, you don't have any, as guys, as guys and as the people who are supposed to be wearing the pants in a relationship, or not even in a relationship, just in your personal life, the people who are supposed to take care of you are you.
Providing.
And when you no longer have the ability to do that,
Mm-hmm.
and you're put in a position where you have to then figure out, okay, I can't do A, B, C, which is what I normally do,
Mm-hmm.
to put food on the table, to pay the bills, to do whatever it is that I need to do. Then what? Then what do you do?
You're right.
You go to therapy, costs money.
Costs a lot of money.
Costs a lot of money. You go talk to somebody, go to a psychiatrist to get some help. Guess what? Costs money. Go see a doctor, costs money.
Meds cost money.
Everything costs money, and if you're not making any money, you can't provide for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't provide for anybody, where's your worth at as far as the society is concerned?
Right.
You don't have any.
Right.
That is the single most taxing thing that I've had to deal with in the last year, is looking at myself and going, okay, what do I need to do? Because this isn't working.
I want to ask you something, and I don't want this to be misconstrued as disrespect or anything like that.
I think we've known each other for long enough
I know, but part of what I want to bring to light in my mission here is accountability.
right?
And what I mean by that is there a point in time that you can recall where you would maybe rethink something that you did to put yourself in any one of these positions?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't want to be misconstrued and have anybody think that I'm putting blame on anybody else.
No. It's not misconstruction at all. But I feel like there's a point of accountability in all of this. I'm not a huge fan, and this is a story for another time. But because of the way that I was raised, I don't have much to say other than what I've done.
Right.
So what I've done is the consequence. No, I'm sorry. What I am going through are the consequences of the choices that I've made. Purely. Almost 100%. So I'm forced to believe that I can change my own shit. So
And I'm not saying that you can't.
no.
I was actually getting to that point.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I go for it. I apologize.
no,
know.
you're good. You're all right. You're just driving the point home. No, and I'm not saying it by any means that you should be pointing fingers and going, this isn't my fault. Everything you do, whether it's good, bad, ugly, the most beautiful thing you've ever done in your world, has consequences. Everything you do has consequences.
So many people are so quick to tell me why their situation is because of them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's what gets me. And I'm like, I don't know, dude. Like, you had a say in the situation too.
Absolutely. We'll touch on mine. I threw Harley Davidson under the bus for a minute with their lack of training. Wasn't their fault. It was my fault. I got in the accident. I spent the time that I was.
You don't think that's up for debate?
Well, hold on. Let me.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I took the time, I had to spend the time that I was supposed to be training. The hell was that?
That was a fruit dish.
I spent the time that I was supposed to be training and doing the things that they had mapped out for me in the hospital.
Fuck.
Sitting in my recliner waiting for surgery to happen. Then post-surgery, waiting for 3 weeks after that before I could go back to work. So if I had been, more careful, if I had been a little bit more responsible, I guess would be the word, then I wouldn't be in this position that I am right now.
Interesting.
So I don't want any of what I've said to be misconstrued as me pointing fingers at anybody else, throwing anybody under the bus, not taking accountability for my actions to put me in the position that I'm in. Because I 100% am at fault for that. And everybody is 100% at fault, not at fault, is 100% accountable for the position that they're in and for the actions that they take to get out of the position that they're in. It isn't anybody's fault. It isn't anybody's problem.
Why do you say, I'm curious now, where do you come off thinking that the accident is your fault?
It's not.
Okay.
The accident was an accident.
Oh, yeah.
I had a mechanical failure on the bike. Nothing I can do about that. Right. But where I went from that accident.
Oh, I see. Okay.
How I handled it.
Okay.
How I handled the situation that I was in was directly my fault.
Fair.
See, you see where?
Yeah.
I should have taken into account that, hey, I just switched positions. I probably shouldn't be going on this big ride alone.
Oh man.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I fucking follow you 120%, dude.
See what I'm saying?
It's so crazy that you went down that fucking small fucking ass entrance because like I'm in my head like, oh, I feel like a fucking retard for doing half the shit that I do. Because I understand the repercussions and the consequences of the worst possible outcome.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like all it takes is
patch of gravel.
Shit, dude, a patch of fucking gravel, to say the least. Like, we can go off-roading on a Wednesday night, or we can go play in the snow on a Sunday. But what happens when
black ice hits?
What happens when I slide off and hit a tree?
Yep.
What happens when traffic is too rough, and I don't get home till 11 o'clock at night? What happens when I fucking break my truck?
Right. Then what?
Yeah. Then what? And I'm like, these small ass fucking gremlins in the back of my head. I feel like that's accountability, dude. That's accepting your responsibility.
And I want to make this.
You fucking said it though.
Yeah.
You fucking said it. Maybe I shouldn't be going on this ride. Oh god damn it. Sorry, go ahead.
No, but I mean that's the accountability portion of it is. 1,000%. 1,000. You can put any situation, any scenario in front of me, and that I've been through, and I'll tell you, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. I should have looked at the whole motherfucking picture. And guess what? I've got nobody else to blame but me.
That's the shit we get ridiculed for.
Yes.
That's why you're a pussy.
Yeah.
Why? Because you didn't go play when you should have. You know. Fuck.
Yeah, and we've both been in the towing industry and in the blue collar industries for pretty much our entire lives.
Basically, yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and we deal with that shit on a daily basis. Hey, man,
Daily.
After work, we're going to go to the bar, and then we're going to go do this. Cool, yeah. I got work in the morning. Oh, you're a puss. Let's go.
Oh, my God. You're fucking preaching to the devil right now, dude.
But that's where, as a responsible provider, you've got to look at things and you've got to go, okay, well, is this one trip out to the bar and then out to Lake Pleasant?
It's not, though.
Worth?
It never stops there.
No, it never stops there.
It never stops there.
Nope, never does.
That's the thing. It's like...
Then it's Crown King.
Right. All of a sudden, you're fucking 18-pack deep.
Oh, more than that.
It's 2 a.m.
Right.
For whatever fucking reason.
We've got to be at work at 6.
Yep.
And we're 2 hours from home.
Oh, God. I love hearing it. I love hearing it in fucking words.
You know,
I'm so glad somebody else fucking said it, because I'm so tired of just hearing the same fucking shit. Like, well, I have to go home because I have dogs that I have to take care of and I have a house that I have to take care of.
We got responsibilities.
Well, that's a fucking bullshit response. I'm like, well, I don't know what to tell you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you've.
I've been at work for 13 hours.
Right.
I have to go home. I don't know what else to say.
Right. So let me.
I don't have the gas to go play with you tonight.
I don't got the money, homie.
It's a whole conversation every fucking time. Anyway.
And I've been guilty of being the dude on the other end of that phone, going, God, come on.
We
man.
all have, dude. I have too. I've sure as fuck. You can call Austin right fucking now.
Oh, you've done it to me, dog.
Oh, yeah, that's my bad.
But
Come on, man. Come on.
let me put it to you this way. The last day I spent in a tow truck in my wrecker with Quick Pick Towing.
No.
Oh yeah. Oh, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah,
It's all right.
we love Quick Pick.
They're my favorite.
I love Quick Pick so much. 5D Leasing, y'all are the boys.
Yeah, you know the best. It's Shamrock Towing now too.
I still actually run into Mike.
45?
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
dude. He's a motherfucker. I love that dude.
I love that dude, but he's a. God, I love him.
He's an asshole, but I love him so much. He's the dude that trained me.
I went out that night, the night before. I went out that night, got shit-faced, right? Shit-faced drunk. Slept in the truck. Not the work truck, my personal truck. Slept at in a QT parking lot because I was too drunk to drive home.
Fuck.
Woke up, went into the QT, had a cup of coffee, sobered up, was sober, you know.
Yeah.
Slept it off, had a couple cups of coffee, had some energy drinks, whatever. Shift ends, 12 hours are done. Get back to the yard. They're like, hey, we've got a call up in Forest Lakes,
Oh,
north
God.
of Payson.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, okay, what is it? It's a fifth wheel toy hauler. Snapped leaf spring.
You told me about this.
I did.
I actually think I was on the phone with you that day.
You were. I called you on the way up there. I was
Yeah.
like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
This sucks. I had just been through a 12-hour day. My logs were full. I had running paper logs. You know how that works. Had to fudge some things around, make it work. Anyway,
Make it look okay.
get up to Forest Lakes. They failed to mention to me that there was a full-size 4-seater 1,000cc RV shoved in the back of this fucking thing. We were probably 6,000 pounds overweight.
Oh, yes.
I'm in a medium-duty wrecker.
Yeah. The little baby.
Yeah, the little automatic baby one.
Yeah. That's a single axle wrecker
Yep.
for
Box trucks,
20 tons.
maybe.
Maybe.
Coming down the mountain from Forest Lakes. I'm in, what is it, Rainbow? Where it drops to like 25% grade right there. With that 6 miles of road. You know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do.
Crazy grade coming down from Payson right there. Fell asleep. Passed out. Coming down the mountain.
How far?
I was about an hour outside of Payson. Coming back down the mountain. Don't know what I heard. Don't know why I reached up and pulled the air valves for the brakes.
But you did.
But I did. Come to a stop. Open up the door. I'm looking off the cliff.
There it is.
I was literally 2 seconds from driving off that cliff.
Yeah.
No guardrail, no nothing. I pulled the truck over, called the office, said, hey, I need you to come pick me up. Why? I fell asleep. Coming down the mountain. Saved the truck. Saved the trailer. But I need you to come get me.
And you're here to talk about it.
All because one of my homies, I'm not going to say who, was like, hey, you should come out and drink with us tonight. Ah, man, I can't. Had a long shift.
Oh, you're talking about...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Had a long shift. Circling back to the accountability portion of it. Had a long shift, don't want to do it. Sorry, man. I'll pay for your first round.
That's all it takes.
all it
That's
took.
all it takes right there.
That's all it took.
Dude, I've fallen victim to that for so many fucking years.
I've done that to you so many times.
That's alright.
I've done that to you so many times. But then I pay for your first round and then I let you go home.
Yeah.
That's what you want to do. That was the last day I was in a tow truck.
Yeah.
I quit that next morning.
It's crazy. I feel like... I don't know if the majority of people chooses to disregard the worst possible consequence.
They don't think about them.
See, and that's where I don't know if people don't think about it because they just don't think about it, or because they don't want to think about it. That's where I don't get it. And I understand, like, most people regard the worst possible outcome as the worst possible. Like, there's a 1 in a billion chance that's going to happen. And I'm like, yeah, I totally fucking get it. I totally fucking get it. But on the off chance
That 1 in a billion is me.
that my car bursts into flames and I
Yep.
don't have a fire extinguisher, then I don't want to be there.
Right.
I just don't. I've been in the worst possible situation more times than I can count. And I've spent probably upwards of millions of dollars figuring out those worst possible situations because I consistently put myself there. And I'm just like, I don't want to fucking do it unless I know that I can fix it. I don't, this security is worth more to me now than the chance.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like, don't go live your life, don't go take chances. That's not what I'm saying. But weigh your options.
Have the personal accountability
Right.
to know that if you fuck something up and you break your truck, right?
Understand what you're doing will probably have consequences, and make sure that you can make up for them.
Oh, it's not probably. It's not probably. Whether they're negative consequences or not.
Yeah.
Every decision you make has a consequence to it.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. Then you've got to be able to look at that situation, look at that consequence that is now being dealt to you, and go, I did it to myself.
It's as simple as, it's 9:30 right now. 9:30 p.m. It's as simple as, I'm going to go to the bar, and I'm probably going to have more alcohol than I need.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to feel it tomorrow.
Absolutely.
That's the simple stability of the situation right there. I've already accepted I'm going to fucking make a mistake, and I'm going to fucking deal with it tomorrow.
Right.
Those consequences vary. Oh, that is such a conversation to get into. Not psyched, though.
No.
I think
we're a little overtime.
Yeah, no, it's okay. There's no overtime, but I do think that we're gonna call it.
Oh, there's no overtime?
No,
I'm not getting paid for this?
no, damn, no, we're not getting paid for this.
That blue collar life, bro. That overtime is
maybe soon, but I think we should call it. There's
Cool.
a lot you and I are gonna talk about.
So I want to circle back real quick before we end. I want to say that on the form of accountability and on the form of dealing with those consequences.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you do has a consequence. It is never me versus somebody else. It is never, they made me do that. It's their fault.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody put a gun to your head.
Right.
Nobody put a gun to your head to go to the bar that night.
Uh-huh.
Nobody put a gun to your head to go up that mountain and drive back down. Nobody put a gun to your head to do any of this shit.
Right.
Right? It was strictly you.
Right.
And then you have to deal with, it was me. And then me having to deal with those consequences later on. That is the battle that we all have to face every day. Me versus me.
And that's why we're here.
And I think if anybody can learn anything from what we're going to talk about in the future and what we've talked about today, it's pretty simply put, everything has consequences. It's whether you're willing to deal with those consequences or not.
Or if I may, how you're going to deal with them.
Right. That's
yeah. I mean, there's no better way to end that. Yeah.
I mean, there's everything has a consequence. Whether you're willing to deal with them or not is totally up to you. And if you're just understand that if you're not willing to deal with the consequences of going out to the bar that night, just using that as an example.
Oh, I mean, it's a good example.
I think every single person on the planet has done that at least once.
Uh-huh.
If you're not willing to deal with those consequences, expect people to talk some shit, call you a pussy.
Unfortunately, you saying no to your own consequences usually lead to
other consequences.
Other potentially positive consequences.
Facts.
I will
Big
say
facts.
that. I will say
Oh, and
that's a whole different conversation.
we're gonna end it on this,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
We're coming up on an hour 15. Not every consequence has to be negative.
Right. The definition of the word is a product of a choice you made.
Yep.
Ish. That's probably not.
Ad-libbed as best as we can.
That's probably not the definition, so don't Google that, please. But a consequence is a product of something that you chose to do. Said at the very least. Go ahead.
And then you got to be able to be willing to deal with those consequences. And unfortunately, for a lot of us, it deals with long-term effects.
Yep. Long-term negative effects.
Yes. Turning those negatives into positives, though, is where, in my eyes, and the way I grew up with my dad, turning those negatives into positives, that's what makes you a man. That's what makes you strong as a person.
Learning from them.
Yep.
That's what makes you who you are.
Yep.
Is learning. That's what we're going to pick up next time. Learning from.
Absolutely.
Fuck. That's a great way to end this.
Should we just jump right into the next one? Stop recording this and just...
Anyways, I appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely, brother.
And I appreciate you being willing to be on again.
Absolutely.
For any questions, comments, concerns, email meversusmeinfo@gmail.com. That is me versus me. MEVSME info@gmail.com. We're on Instagram, Me vs. Me Pod, and Facebook, Me vs. Me Podcast. Check it out. I dabble in TikTok. Check out the clips. They're on there.
He's kind of funny sometimes.
I got a long list of shit on TikTok, so if you decide to have a little laugh, just keep on scrolling. Anyway, thank you for listening, and until the next one.
See you next time, folks.